Greetings and salutations. Second Star right, back with more Raid Shadow Legends. On screen, Gerhard the Stone, a guy who I've been trying to make a video on since August. I started recording fights with him back then and got distracted, thrown off the rails, redirected, whatever may have happened between August and November, who knows. Anything, it could be anything. But regardless, we're here now, finally. And we're going to talk about Gerhard because he's a pretty great single target nuke, a character profile that I've always been kind of interested in. I think it's good, and a lot of people focus on just their AoE champs. But I think having a single target nuke to take care of those irritating champions that can make your life hell in Arena or Doom Tower or Dungeons or whatever is a good thing to have available to you. Okay, so he's an epic Bannerlord, and he's very similar to a rare Bannerlord that I did a video on like a year and a half ago or so, back when I was a young raid neophyte. Halberdier, another really good Bannerlord single target nuke. He's just rare. He has a weaken on his A1, he has ignore shield and block damage on his A2, and increases crit damage by 40% just passively, right? So really good starter champ, I thought. Early through the game, he helped me through some content early on where I just needed to take out one champion that was ruining my dungeon runs. Now we see Gerhard. He's got a promotion. Halberdier got a promotion. He's now Gerhard the Stone, and he has some nice animal skin on his epaulets there. I guess he keeps what he kills. I don't know. Regardless. He's looking burly, and he can really dish out the pain. Let's take a look at his skills. Ringing Blow attacks an enemy, 15% chance of placing a stun for one turn, and a 40% chance of placing the stun for one turn instead if the target has more than 75% turn meter. And you can book that. This is 5, 10, 15, another 20% chance on top of all that. So really good chance to stun if you choose to book him. And having a crowd control as good as stun on an A1 is an awesome thing to have. Did not make that primary focus on this champion. I was not thinking about that really. I just wanted to take fuckers out. Right, so just focusing straight on damage. Show of Valor places a 30% increased crit rate buff and a 30% increased crit damage buff on the champion for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy. As you see when I have them built, I did not focus as much on crit rate as you might on an attack champion, because you get some from there, and plus I always run with a crit lead anyway, so I can not have to focus on crit rate as much and focus more on crit damage. I'm a big crit damage fan, so this A2 is very interesting and intriguing to me for that reason. But also ignores 25% of the target's defense. It will ignore 50% of the target's defense instead if the target is under an increased defense buff. Now, increased defense buff you might not run into very much in dungeons, but you see a little bit more in Doom Tower, a little bit more in Faction Wars, and of course you see it a lot in Arena. So while he might not be the best dungeon champion, he does have his purpose in those other areas. Okay, and then he has a passive, a passive where he's immune to most crowd control. Fear, True Fear, Freeze, Provoke, Sleeps, and Stuns. Every 5 turns he is immune to that, which you can get down to 3 turns if you book it. Again, not a concern of mine. I did not book this guy at all. I just wanted to see what his raw damage was. Okay, so here's where it gets interesting. If you watch my videos at all, I always say find what the champion is good at and double down on that thing, right? So I'm thinking crit damage, right? So I had him in crit damage sets, and I had him up at around 300% crit damage, and I found that ignoring defense was better. I'm just as shocked as you. Actually, I'm not shocked. I knew ignoring damage is a good thing, especially in higher level dungeons, but I just did not think that it would be this much better. And not even saying that it's this much better, but it's just the results were just confusing to me, because my thought was, I always had in my head that crit damage is when you have 100% crit rate at least, you have consistent damage throughout the course of your fight, whereas ignore damage, because the mastery depends on proccing. Helm Smasher here ignores 25%, but only 50% of the time. That when you see all those big spikes, because your Helm Smasher is procced. it just turns out that the more consistent damage for me, the way I have him geared and built, Helm Smasher worked better. So I changed his masteries and I changed his equipment, his artifacts, to ignore damage instead. So now he's in a Savage set and with Helm Smasher, and his damage output is greater. That's just the way it worked. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm a big fan of crit damage, but I think maybe crit damage is better for other champions that I think maybe the ignore or use max enemy HP. I think crit damage benefits those champions a lot more, I guess. I don't know. It was weird. I was surprised to see this because I've always been a big believer in crit damage, but in this case, Helm Smasher ruled the day. All right, before I get into the masteries, let's look at his artifacts real quick. Okay, so like I said, Savage set and a Fatal. So increased crit rate, increased attack, and then ignores enemy defense. Excuse me. Total stats. We have 34,000 HP, which is low, but I run with Duchess, so, his attack, 4,400, coming up on 4,500, which is a decent amount. You should really aim for 5, but, with all the ignoring damage I'm doing, that this kind of works. 2,200 defense, 162 speed, again, a little on the slow side perhaps, but you want him to go after all of your debuffers anyway, so keep that in mind. Critical rate, 67%, again low, but he has a 30% bonus on his A2, so that makes it 97%, and I run with a crit lead, so that doesn't even matter anyway. Crit damage, 220%. I had it over 300 before, and I just happened to like his damage more this way. It was weird. I don't know. Resistance, I just have him at 118 and not really focus. And then if I wanted to take more advantage of his A1 stun, I would want this higher than 131. But again, not something that I was focusing on right now. Only so many stats to go around, and I wanted just to do as much damage as possible. So I kind of did not look for accuracy as a mitigator. Okay, so like I said, masteries, he's in Helm Smasher, but the way that this champion is, he's squishy and deals a lot of damage, so he's going to be killing a lot of people and taking a lot of damage. So rather than going over here with the Heart of Glory, like a lot of times you would do, I have it Grim Resolve instead, because he's going to be attacking from below 50% hit points often. Right, crit rate, crit damage, of course. Life Drinker, because again, he's going to be attacking from below hit points. This is giving him a little bit of cushion when he does his damage, and he does a lot of damage, so that's good. Increases speed by 6 for each enemy killed by this champion, rolled into death. Good one for your single target nuke for sure. And again, single target nuke, dealing a lot of damage. Cycle of Violence has a chance to proc. Bringing it down, low hit point pool, that's going to come into play a lot. It just worked out really well. Methodical was just next in line. It's just better than Kill Streak, I think. And then Helm Smasher for ignore defense. And then I chose the defense tree instead of support, because again, I wasn't focusing on his block. I was focusing more on, he does put a stun, so he does kill a lot, so it's good to get that heal in when you can. He has a stun on his A1, so Harvest Despair works well in that regard. And then you got into 2 counterattacks, because why not? He deals a tremendous amount of damage on his A1 just natively. So if you can counterattack every once in a while, all the better. This is a really, 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 really good setup for Gerhard built this way. It just is. It really works out. And I'll show you how as we jump into some dungeons here. Okay, so first off, we will go into Ice Golems, of course, because this is where single target nuke players go, because all the other dungeons kind of require a team to be built a certain way, have a certain amount of times they go on their A1, and finally, whatever. They have things you need, and a single target nuke usually isn't in the cards. Maybe if you have like a Foley and a Cold Heart or something, maybe you can squeeze Gerhard in there. But for Fire Knight, but I don't know. I just don't think that he's really good for all those other dungeons. But it's okay, because he's good in Doom Tower. He's good in Faction Wars for sure. But again, dungeons. He's going to die a lot because he doesn't have a big hit point pool, and especially on this where he has to go against reflect damage because he's doing so much damage. He's dealing a lot of damage to himself, so that wave is particularly tricky for this champion. But that's okay. I mean, yeah, it's a trade-off. As you see, watch his numbers come up here. 100. That was his A2, hitting 100,000, 105. He had 141,000 hit on Dracomorph and took Dracomorph out in one shot on the first wave. I was talking through it, but if you were watching, you probably saw it happen. Now, another 100,000 hit. And Leoris is probably going to make him look silly occasionally, but Leoris is a void legendary, so that's just going to happen sometimes, right? But this much more common epic can still put up some pretty convincing numbers. And Leoris also has 2 AoEs, so you gotta there's two completely different profiles running here. Right, Leoris I would not characterize as a single target nuke, even though he can do massive amounts of damage on his A1 if he gets lucky and he's built that way. Okay, again he's gonna have to get revived a lot. Super squishy, glass cannon definitely, but he deals out the pain, and it's really nice to see. It's very satisfying to see these huge numbers that he's dishing out. Let's see, what do we have? A2 140, nice. Thank you very much, Gerhard. 65 just on an A1. All right, so he did what is that? $1 million damage. 999. He did $1 million. Brooklyn 999. He did $1 million damage for a single target nuke. Not bad. Of course, Draco with his poisons is going to be 1.6. Glorious with two AoEs did 1.5. Solus is there just to look awesome, and of course Duchess is there for buffs and reses. But single target nuke, doing $1 million damage on a dungeon. I would take that. I would take that happily. 3-minute run, not too bad. Not too bad. All right, but really he's more an arena champion, right? So let's take him into here where Arbiter, huge pain in the butt. No one likes dealing with Arbiter. Kind of a nuisance champion. So let's see what we can do about Arbiter with our single target nuke. He just has to live through the first wave and then 104,000 damage, and we don't have to worry about Arbiter anymore, right? And now it's just the healer and the 2 attack champions should be dealt with pretty easily. Apothecary can be a nuisance though. Okay, come on. Zergala's unkillable. That's kind of irritating. Let's see if we can take out Apothecary just with an A1. So just A1, 56,000 damage. I will definitely take that in a heartbeat in arena for sure. All right, and how does this play out? Very nice res from Duchess. I do realize that my life is much easier having Duchess on the team. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. She does let me do a lot of things that maybe you couldn't quite pull off as well. Maybe Gorgorab probably could have helped us with that run, similar to the way Duchess did, but maybe. I don't know. Yeah, Duchess is good. But let's move on. We saw that that Gerhard was able to deal with Arbor no problem. Now here's the Scylla of the Drakes, and this is interesting in that even with his 97% chance to crit with his A2, he actually will miss his crit on this in this fight. So let's see what happens when that happens. Okay, A2, Scylla of the Drakes. So only 24,000. He hit that 3% chance to miss his crit on Scylla of the Drakes. So we have to survive another round. Unfortunately, Lord Cesar's bombs are inefficient against Duchess, who's blocking all those debuffs. Fenax is crowd controlled right now, so he can't block our revive. Because if Fenax was able to take out, here we go, and then the Scylla's just taken out with A1, similar to the way we took out Apothecary. They're the same affinity, so we don't have a problem that another champion single target nuke might have, like Zargal or something, might have a more difficult time taking out Apothecary and Scylla the Drakes. But since they have the same, Gerhard has the same affinity, he doesn't have the negatives. Okay, a 1 on Apothecary, and Apothecary's out with the 29,000 hit. So as long as Fenax doesn't take out Gerhard, because blocking revive on Gerhard would make it just kind of slow, we'd still win because they wouldn't be able to res and we would, but it'd just kind of be a slog, shall we say. And boom. Goodbye, Fenax. As you can see, Gerhard landed the killing blow on every single champion that we came up against. So, single target nukes in arena, really good. Gerhard especially, ignoring defense, as you know, defense buffing is a big thing to do in arena. And he's just good. He's built for arena, and if you're having problems in arena, you might want to consider, you know, a single target nuker, and Gerhard is one that you could consider if you don't have anyone better. Is he the best single target nuker? I don't know. He's probably the best epic non-void, I think. Because the other single target nukes that I really like, okay, Chani's really good. She does her business quite well, although not to the extent. She won't have 100,000 hit like Gerhard would, but she has debuffs, so that's nice. But I think Inquisitor Shamael is probably my favorite, because on his A2, Cow the Horrors, which is, I understand the context of this, but it just looks weird written down, and it sounds weird to say. But when you kill your target with this skill, and you most likely will, because it does a massive amount of damage, especially if you have Helm Smasher, like I have him set up as, it puts True Fear on all enemies for 1 turn. And that little bit of crowd control goes a long way. So he's probably my favorite. Ragnar Goldgleam, again, is great. A lot of downsides. He will do damage to himself as he puts up shields. But he also can deal out, you know, damages, you know, over 100,000 per hit without much problem. And then, of course, Gala Longbraids. Mine's not built, but she is another candidate for really good, you know, non-legendary DPS. But again, all those champions are void, so harder to get, and maybe you haven't come across them. Whereas Gerhard the Stone, you might have just hanging out in your vault, and you're like, what am I going to do with this guy? Well, hopefully I've showed you some uses and a way to build him that will make him useful to you if you're having those kind of problems. Maybe you're not, I don't know, but if so, give it a shot. I like Gerhard a lot. He's a lot of fun, squishy, but if you can build the support around him and you have the gear, he can dish out a lot of pain, and that can do you well in a lot of places. Just maybe not Spider and maybe not Fire Knight, right? But everywhere else, probably you can find a use. Spirit Keep, great in Spirit Keep, just so you know. All right, so guys, take care. I appreciate you coming along this voyage. Send me a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. All right, guys, take care. Thanksgiving week, so I'm on vacation and enjoying it. So hopefully I'll be able to make some more videos, because sometimes I don't have time. All right, but thank you. I appreciate it. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.